You know, I never actually talked about, on this channel at least, the first concert that I ever went to. Back in the year 2008, way back when I was in middle school. Still have the nightmares about those times. One of the few things that my father ever did with me was take me to see Weird Al Yankovic. I don't quite remember how I got into Weird Al. I think it was kind of the internet at the time, and just how my friends and I were, you know, kind of goofy and funny and weird. And for some reason, we got into the Weird Al parodies, you know, White and Nerdy, Canadian Idiot, The Saga Begins, the Spider-Man one where it's a parody of Piano Man. All these different songs were kind of all around myself and my friends growing up. And to see Weird Al Yankovic live was an absolute treat. Even now, I not just from the nostalgic feeling, but for my love and adoration of Weird Al, anytime I see him on television or interviewed or in a special, or I hear his voice in something, or I just see him in a performance or hear his music, I just get this big warm smile on my face. If you had asked me as a middle schooler, you know, who was my hero, my first choice would have always been Goku from Dragon Ball Z. Like, absolutely, that was my favorite, my absolute favorite. But a close second, fucking Weird Al Yankovic. Abso-fucking-lutely. The man is kind of an anomaly when it comes to music. You know, I think like he's one of the few comedians who is able to maintain a very, very successful music career for all this fucking time. You know, Weird Al way back in like the 80s was, you know, just as funny and talented as he is now. Maybe now even more so, since he's had time to work and learn and expand and all that. Not just from a music perspective, but he's also really funny. Like, just hearing him talk and watching him in the movie UHF, which is fantastic if you haven't seen it. Hearing him in interviews and shorts and YouTube videos and all that. Just a genuinely funny, talented person. So recently, a couple weeks ago, I had the absolute joy of seeing Weird Al Yankovic again. Now, granted, I'm not going to talk about my personal life, but so obviously I didn't go with my father again. I went with my best friend from high school, and he joined me to go see Weird Al on the return of the self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity tour. The tagline for this particular tour was, "None of the songs you know. No special effects. No big screens." And it was kind of marketed as kind of like a low-key, intimate kind of thing, which it really wasn't. It was just more Weird Al in a weird kind of way, but he wasn't playing the parodies entirely. We'll talk about that. The purpose of this tour, not just for promoting his movie coming up starring Daniel Radcliffe, which I'm very excited for, it was also kind of him playing the songs that he wanted to play. If you looked at the set list before, it was different every night. So every night you have a potential of hearing a different Weird Al song. And so when we got there, the opening act was Emo Phillips. If you don't know who Emo Phillips is, he's a very, very funny comedian. I recommend checking out his comedy records, looking up his live specials. If you need context of who this person is, he was actually the voice of Cuber in Adventure Time, the Grable guy. That's Emo Phillips. You know, he talks in a very strange, eccentric way. That was him. Very, very funny. And you know, there's just something fucking magical about Weird Al Yankovic. Like I said, big smile on my face the whole time. And I actually knew more songs than I expected. He actually played some of his hits, but they weren't the parodies. He played a beautiful, like, jazz parlor version of Dare to Be Stupid, which is my all-time favorite Weird Al Yankovic song. So I was completely stoked about that. He played I'll Sue Ya, fantastic song. And you know, he did the one thing that I wish musicians these days had the fucking balls to do. Weird Al Yankovic played his Christmas song. That's right. In May, Weird Al Yankovic played Christmas at Ground Zero. Now, granted, this is not your typical Christmas song. It's about a nuclear holocaust. He played it. And I respect that. And it wasn't so much of him doing songs that weren't good. Like, he played a lot of songs that I didn't know. But it was still entertaining. He would talk and tell jokes in between, in that weird kind of dry-ish way that Weird Al talks. He was just funny and charming and heartwarming, and I had a wonderful time. Remember back when I talked about the Hella Mega Tour, and I said what an absolute fucking shit show it was to try and get a fucking t-shirt for that show? Weird Al fixed this, and I wish more bands would do it because it's fucking genius. Merch pre-order. You pay, you get a number, you take the number to the merch booth, you've already paid for it, so you just grab it, the person you signed for it, and you go. It was great. I walked up, it was ready for me, I picked up my bag, and I went on my merry way. 2 minutes. Done. Now, granted, I understand that might be a little more difficult to do with some larger groups. The venue itself was not particularly large. It was the Kirby Center in Wilkes-Barre, which is a relatively smaller venue. But I think that's a really good idea, or at least making enough of your merchandise available online for people to get it there and not have to wait for 2 fucking hours to try and get a t-shirt. Green Day. You might be wondering, so Kirk, what'd you get? Well, I'll show you. First thing that I got was a t-shirt. Pretty nice. It's got the Chad Weird Al Yankovic. God, look at that fucking face. Doesn't that just bring a smile? I love Weird Al. And he's playing his accordion. He did play the accordion, and because he was in Wilkes-Barre, one of the I don't know, polka capital of the world, or something crazy, stupid, made up like that, people went berserk. They went fucking nuts when he brought out the accordion. And admittedly, he's pretty good with it. On the back, we also have the tour dates. There's a lot of tours, a lot of shows of this particular tour. You know, as of right now, we're only in June, and I saw him back in May. So, you know, there's still plenty of time to go ahead and get tickets. I don't think they'd be too expensive. Like I said, Weird Al, while amazingly talented and a wonderful musician, not always necessarily mainstream per se, but his influence and presence in music can't be denied. I rarely get this, and for the last couple of concerts I've been kind of into it. I got a hoodie. Now the hoodie just says Weird Al Yankovic on it, pretty basic. But on the inside, it says the unfortunate return of the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity tour. This is technically the second time that he's done this kind of tour where he's not really playing the parodies. But you know what? I don't even think he needs to. Weird Al Yankovic has the natural charm and charisma and talent when it comes to being funny and songwriting, where he's just enjoyable to watch. One thing I will say, the set list was supposed to change every night. Don't know if that's true. I haven't seen more than one show in this particular tour, and I'm not going to get the chance to. But at the end, he played a nice, short, sweet little medley of a lot of the parodies. So, you know, Amish Paradise, White and Nerdy, Yoda, and of course his ending song was Albuquerque. It's always Albuquerque, but that song is just so fucking good. I've said this multiple times throughout the video, and I just want to stress how I have a deep appreciation and respect and love for Weird Al Yankovic from all of my life. And even now into the future, anytime he makes a new album, I'm sure to actually buy it. I buy physical copies. One of my favorites from the previous was Mandatory Fun. That's the album that has Tacky, Word Crimes. That's another great one. I mean, the whole album is fantastic. If you've never seen Weird Al before, you are doing yourself a disservice by not going ahead and giving him a chance. He's funny. He's charismatic. He's wildly talented. But most importantly, he's a really damn good accordion player. Weird Al is one of the few musicians that I would ever consider to be a personal hero of mine. You know, most people think of a superhero or anime character, and I fall to that and sometimes, but there's just such a special place in my heart and in my soul as my personality and my taste of things and my like of stuff that stems from Weird Al Yankovic. So, I know it's called the ridiculously self-indulgent, ill-advised Vanity tour. I advise that you be open-minded and you go ahead and go see it. You won't regret it. great. It's a fantastic time. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm going to have another one coming up pretty shortly after this. Another really cool concert to talk about. And I'll see you guys in the next one.